Mr. Moore's math class! Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to Mr. Moore's online flipped classroom. That's right, guys, last lesson we learned all about how to factorize expressions with 2 and 4 terms. This lesson, what we're going to have a look at is how to factorize these expressions, but with 3 terms. So let's have a look at some of the things that we need to take into consideration when factorizing expressions with 3 terms. Why, thank you, Mr. Moore. Now, there's a couple of things that you need to take into consideration when factorizing expressions with 3 terms. The first being, is it given to us in the form ax squared plus bx plus c? Or is it given to us in the form x squared plus bx plus c? Now, if you have a look at this one over here, it's given to us with an a value, that is a number out the front of the x squared. Whereas if you have a look at this one here, it actually doesn't have a number out the front of the x squared. Now, both of these methods are going to require different types of working out. Now, there's one more thing to take into consideration, and that is, will we at some point have to complete the square in order to factorize? Now, we're not going to have a look at this today, but it's important that you realize that this might have to come into play when factorizing 3 terms later on, and we'll go into that next episode. So let's first of all check out how to factorize expressions with 3 terms without a value for a. Let's check it out.
Alright, so now it's time to learn how to factorize quadratic expressions with 3 terms. Now these can come either in the form x squared plus bx plus c, or ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, depending on which form it comes, you'll actually have to factorize it using different methods. If you take note, the difference between the two is this one actually doesn't have a coefficient out the front of the x squared, whereas this one does, being the value of a, whatever that happens to be. Alright, so first of all, let's actually have a look at how to factorize a quadratic expression with 3 terms, but without a value of a out the front. So step 1, write down the factors of c. Step 2, find which of these factor pairs add together to get b. And step 3, write each of these factors in place of the question mark below. That is x plus 1 factor in one bracket, multiplied by x plus the other factor in the other bracket. Okay, so now it's time to have a look at a few worked examples of these. Right, and the worked example says factorize the following expressions. There's a x squared plus 5x plus 6, b x squared plus 9x minus 10, and c x squared minus 11x plus 30. Alright, so let's have a look at part A first. As you can see, you got 3 terms, and we have no value for a. That is, there's nothing at the front of the x squared. So that means we're going to use this method of factorizing. And in this method, step 1 says write down the factors of c. So the factors of c, being 6, are 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. Because of course the next one will be 3 and 2, and you've already got those written down. Step 2 says find which of these factor pairs add to get b. Right, well this is our b value, so we're looking for which of these factor pairs will add to get 5. Where you can see 2 plus 3 will actually get you 5. So what you're going to do is you're going to write x plus 2 being the first factor, and x plus 3 being the second factor. As you can see that in step 3 it says write each of these factors in place of the question mark below, so that's what we've done. Instead of writing the question mark down here, we've written the first factor, and instead of writing the question mark that you can see here, we've written the second factor. So essentially what this means is if I was to expand this, I'd end up getting x squared plus 5x plus 6 once again. Okay, so let's have a look at the second one now. We've got 3 terms once again, and we've got no value out the front of the x squared, so that means we're going to use the same method again. Okay, so let's have a look at the factors of c, being negative 10. So the factors of negative 10 are 1 and negative 10, 2 and negative 5, 5 and negative 2, and 10 and negative 1. So if you have a look through here, we're looking for the factors of c that will add to b. So that is, which of these factors here will add to 9. And if you have a look, you can get 10 minus 1 will be positive 9. So let's circle that. And what that will give us is x plus 10 being the first factor, multiplied by x minus 1 being the second factor. And part C now, once again, what you can see is that we have got 3 terms and no value for a. So what we're going to do is the same method again. So we're looking for the factors of c being 30, so let's write these down. So you've got 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6, and then of course you'll go back and get 6 and 5, so you're repeating again. Now, if we have a look, 1 plus 30 is 31, 2 plus 15 is 17, 3 plus 10 is 13, and 5 plus 6 is 11. And we're actually looking for negative 11. So if we have a think about it, there's another way that we can get positive 30, and that is if both of our factors are negative. Alright, if you have a think about it, negative 5 minus 6 will actually get us negative 11. So what you're going to do is you're going to write x minus 5 in the first bracket being the first factor, and x minus 6 in the second bracket because that's the second factor. And there you have it, that's how you factorize expressions when you've got a negative value for b and a positive value for c.
Oh wow, so if there's no a value out the front of the x squared, then it's as simple as looking for the factors of c that add to b. Now let's have a look at how to factorize expressions with 3 terms but that have an a value out the front. Let's check it out.
And now it's time to have a look at how to factorize 3 terms, but when there's in fact a number out the front of the x squared, that is a value for a. So step 1 is to multiply a by c, that is the number out the front of the x squared, by the constant term at the end. Step 2 is to look for the factors of your answer for a times c that add to make b, that is the number out the front of the x. Step 3 is to break b up into the 2 factors that you found in step 2, making an expression with 4 terms. And step 4 is to now factorize the expression as if it has 4 terms that you can see up here. Okay, so the following worked examples say factorize the following expressions for part A, B and C. So let's have a look at part A. You've got 2x squared plus 5x plus 2. So the first step is to multiply a by c, that is the number out the front of the x squared, by the constant value. So what we get is 2 times 2, which is actually equal to 4. So if you have a think about the factors of 4 that add to 5, we know that 4 and 1 are factors, and we know that 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. So what now we're going to do in step 3 is we're going to break up this 5 into the 2 factors. So you're going to get this here is equal to 2x squared, and instead of writing 5x, what we're going to do is we're going to write plus 4x plus x, and then we've got plus 2. So what you can see here is the plus 5x has actually been broken up to 4x and x, because that's still equal to 5x, but I've just rigged it a little bit. And now that I've got 4 terms, I can just treat it as if I'm factorizing a quadratic expression with 4 terms. So to do that, I go through the same process as what we went through before. So we put brackets around the first 2 terms, and brackets around the last 2 terms. Now the common factor between 2x squared and 4x, well, that's going to be 2x. And when we take out 2x as a common factor, you're going to get x plus 2, because we know 2x times x is 2x squared, and 2x times 2 is 4x. Now the common factor with x and 2, well, that's actually just 1. So what we're going to do is just going to write plus 1, and you get x plus 2. Alright, you can see the common binomial factor of x plus 2 now, so what we're going to do is we're going to write in brackets 2x plus 1 out the front, and x plus 2. And you can see now I've actually factorized it. I know that 2x squared plus 5x plus 2 factorizes 2x plus 1 times x plus 2 in the other bracket. Let's go through and do the same process now for part B. So the first step, once again, is multiply a by c. So you go 4 times negative 3 will get us negative 12. Alright, let's have a think about the factors of negative 12 that add to positive 4. Alright, so if I think long and hard, I'll think about 6 and negative 2, because 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, and of course 6 minus 2 is positive 4. So these are the factors that we're going to be looking at. Alright, let's do that now. So I'm going to go, this here is equal to 4x squared. Alright, I'm going to break up this 4x now to be plus 6x minus 2x minus 3. So as you can see, the 4x has been broken up to 6x minus 2x. Of course, 6x minus 2x is 4x, so it's still exactly the same thing, but I've just rewritten it differently. Alright, now because I'm dealing with 4 terms, I'm going to put brackets around the first 2 terms, and brackets around the last 2 terms. Of course, the negative still stays in there, and I'm going to put a little invisible plus in the middle. Therefore, what we're going to get as a common factor here, for 4x squared and 6x, we know that 2x is going to go into both of those, and I'm going to get 2x here plus 3. Because 2x times 2x is 4x squared, and 2x times 3 is positive 6x. Now I've got negative 2x and negative 3. Alright, well if I take out the common factor of negative 1, so minus 1, I'm going to get 2x plus 3, because negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x, and negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Once again, you can now see that we've got the common binomial factor of 2x plus 3, so that means what we can go ahead and do is just write in brackets 2x minus 1 and 2x plus 3. Right, that is, if I expand this, I'll get an answer of 4x squared plus 4x minus 3. So therefore I know that I've actually factorized it correctly. For the final one, let's go through once again and multiply a by c. So when we get 2 times 1, we're going to get 2. Now we're going to look for the factors of 2 that add to negative 3. Now the factors of 2, well, we know that it's just 1 and 2, But if we think about it, what we can actually get in order to get negative 3, they need to both be negative. So you go negative 1 and negative 2. Well, negative 1 times negative 2 is still 2, and negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. So let's rewrite out negative 3x with two terms. So you're going to go 2x squared minus 2x minus x plus 1. Alright, negative 3x is the same as writing negative 2x minus x. It's still equal to negative 3x. I've just rewritten it out so I can deal with it in four terms. So this therefore is equal to, well, let's put brackets around this one first and put a little invisible plus in there. Alright, so factorising this now, what we're going to do is we're going to take out the common factor of 2x because it goes into both 2x squared and negative 2x. And 2x times x will get us 2x squared, and 2x times negative 1 will get us negative 2x. So there's 2x times negative 1 will get us negative 2x. Right, taking out the common factor now, so you've got negative x and positive 1, we've got x minus 1. So what we're going to do, what it's hinting at that is to take out a common factor of negative 1, so you get negative 1 times x will get you negative x, and negative 1 times negative 1 will get you positive 1. This therefore gives us the common binomial factor again, with x minus 1 there. Right, so when we've got that, of course, what we do is we write in the first bracket 2x minus 1, and then in the next bracket x minus 1. And that there is factorised.